What is up? My name is Matt Workman, and I am a cinematographer and also the owner of a company called Cinematography Database. You can check out my YouTube channel right here on YouTube or on Instagram. I am also an advisor for KidSplit, which if you're watching this YouTube channel, you probably already know that they are an online rental marketplace, and they recently launched in LA. Earlier this year, I went to Cinegear in LA, and I gave a little talk on how to use social media for the film industry, and in this video I want to recap the major points of it for people that are wondering, how do you do social media for the film industry? And really this might work for pretty much any creative industry, but we'll try to keep it specifically for the film industry. Number 1, find your community online. Now this has been evolving and it will continue to change basically, I would say, year by year. When I first started getting into music videos as a director and a DP, it was MySpace. That's where all the musicians were. That's where the directors were. That's where I, as a DP and a director, were finding other people trying to do music videos. It was MySpace. And then it quickly moved into Facebook. It took a little bit of a while for that to be like a legitimate online community, but now it's really a major place again to meet people in the film industry. It's a little bit more closed now. And I would say that today, if you're just in like the general film industry in the United States and probably Europe, I can't speak for like the entire world, I would say that it is on Instagram. It's kind of incredible how there are actors, musicians, and directors, and producers, and dancers, and DPs, and key grips, and gaffers, and ACs, and rental houses, and vendors, and it goes on basically forever. Somehow everyone has ended up on Instagram, and that's actually really convenient because it's really easy to share your work there. And if you're looking to find your community in the film industry, I'll give you a hint for 2018, it's on Instagram. Number 2 is share your work natively. And what that basically means is that if you're posting on Instagram, post your thing on Instagram. And if you're sharing on Twitter, which is still a very relevant network, maybe not specifically for the film industry in all cases, but I still use Twitter a whole lot, you want to share natively. And I know a lot of people, even really big social media people, might like say, hey, my new YouTube video is out on Twitter, go check it out with a link to it. I do that every once in a while. If you really want to get serious with a certain platform like Instagram, you want to basically post your best stuff on that platform. Don't make people click out and have to like find it somewhere else. Basically 0.1% of those people will actually do that. Just post the good stuff right on there. Don't be afraid to share your work, even if it's not like up to your standards and whatnot. People will respect even if you're doing work in progress type of work, and if you're still learning, people can still respect where you are in that process. And I actually think it's really good to be able to put it out there and find people who are more or less at your level or willing to give you a shot at a slightly bigger job. But people like to go on, say, your Instagram and maybe your website and see the work that you're doing that's up to date, and they could basically gauge for themselves where they think you're at and if it makes sense for you to like come work with them. Number 3, I spelled genuinely wrong. Interact genuinely. And this, for some reason, is one of the places I see most people fail really, really hard. And I've failed too. I mean, internet is kind of new and how you internet can be, subjective. But in general, what I would say is that if you like someone's work, something that they've posted, you basically want to like it. That's the basic bare minimum of it. And there's no penalty to just liking lots of stuff. It's actually a really good thing you can do to get people who are not familiar with you to become familiar with you online. What I would say next is only comment on it if you have something really, again, genuine or like positive in most cases to contribute to it that also comes from a place of knowledge. So if you see someone who, if you're a cinematographer, you see someone's work and you love the lighting and you kind of feel like you understand like kind of like where the reference is, like it, and then actually write on it, be like, hey, I really love how the third shot looks because this lighting reminds me of, Blade Runner 2049, and maybe even ask a question like, how did you go about hazing the room or something like that. Something that is like from a human and something that is like really nerdy and shows that you care about it and that you really want to, interact with this person and get to know them. Not just like that you're following a big account and you want them to like you back or like shout you out, because that will basically never happen until you meet IRL, which we'll talk about that sort of stuff and can actually work together. Just actually, if you like something, like it, give out lots of likes and comment when it actually means something to you and explain it. Don't just say epic or cool or like, do whatever you want. But the more you put yourself into these comments, the more that the person you're whose work you admire will possibly notice you, check out your profile, check you out online. Maybe there's some way you two can collaborate. And then also people that are on their feed, basically, who are reading these comments, if you drop some knowledge on there in a non-salesy way, they might actually become familiar with your work as well. So interact genuinely, no trolling, no being a weird robot, don't be spammy, just try to keep it real, and good things can happen. Number 4, I would say, is to connect and message, DM, or get in contact through Twitter with people that like you really, really get along with. And I think that once you start liking someone's content regularly and you comment and they comment on your stuff, then you DM them, you're like, hey, I'm a huge fan of your work, like, where are you based? Like, what kind of stuff do you do? It could be a director, a producer, another filmmaker, an artist, whoever you're just kind of vibing with on the internet. Actually message them and, treat it like it's serious business, like you were actually possibly going to work with this person in the future. And when you get to this point with people, this is the next part that is the most important, but it really starts with once you're liking and interacting with other people, whatever is native on the platform, that you actually talk to them outside of the platform, or at least through a private message, and get to know them even more. I've had like massive Twitter, back and forth with other YouTubers and Instagrammers on Instagram with DM, where we just ask each other questions or like talk about something that happened. And it's kind of informal. We're not like emailing each other. We're not like actually going to work together yet or anything like that. But we just get to kind of like feel each other out, and it's not publicly. So when you find someone like this that it seems like, hey, it'd be really cool to work with, or just you're really getting along, just make sure that you get into the DMs or on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever else, and just, try to have a conversation there. Number 5, the most important use and step for social media is to meet IRL, to meet in person, get coffee, get dinner, work on a job together, make money together, do good things in real life. And if you take nothing else away from this, I would say that the main purpose, at least how I've used it for business since the beginning of my career, and I feel like it's gone pretty well, is that I only blast so much content out onto social media. I message so many people, and I'm just out there online so much so that I can meet the people who I want to work with and meet them in real life, and then actually work together. That's the whole reason I use it. I think that that's a really positive way of thinking about social media, is that you're not trying to show off or anything that's like narcissistic. You're really just trying to put yourself out there so that people who vibe with you, who would want to work with you, that you can actually do that thing in real life. And I try to use that context when I'm putting any of my stuff out there. I'm like, who's going to want to see this? If someone I want to work with sees this, what will they think? Does it reflect the kind of stuff that I want to be working on, that sort of stuff? So again, number 5, meet IRL, go to meetup groups if there's like a little community around it. If there isn't a community around it and you are so enterprising, start one. Start a meetup group, start a podcast, start a blog, start a YouTube channel, start a whatever. You would be surprised how eager and hungry people are to see content about the thing that they love, but not everyone wants to be the face of it. I know I didn't really want to be. It just kind of ended up happening and just is just like part of what I do now. But go meet up with these people, start your own meetup group, go to the conferences, the industry conferences if you can afford it, and just make these real connections, because that's where this gets all real. And then it becomes easier and easier the more real connections you have with these people that you work with. You connect with them online, and that's where your social media starts to really grow, your actual connections, your actual business, and good things happen. Number 6, which is maybe the bonus tip, that's something that online people say when they make lists like this, learn the economics. Now, this is specifically for, I think, some of the younger people or people that are new to an industry. You need to learn the economics of an industry, and there's no one better to learn it from than someone who is kind of a leader in the space, who you meet online through common connections and vibes that you can then meet up with IRL to get a drink, coffee, at a conference, whatever, at a film festival. And you want to learn how the industry works if you're new to it, so that you can learn how it is that people survive in it, and most importantly, the economics, how people make money. And I think when you go into an industry like I did with music videos, naively, or into commercials, again, naively, but a lot of the times the things you learned about the industry might be a little bit dated, and things have changed rapidly. You might have your preconceived notions on how the film industry works, or any industry, and how you make money and survive in it. But in reality, it's very different. And I learned that firsthand in music videos. I got real into it eventually and learned, how much people make, what the industry kind of looks like, the direction it's going. And I learned this from the people who are actually in the film industry and the music video industry back then. And the way that I did this was, again, on MySpace, and then a little bit with Craigslist. And I was doing basically these 5 or 6 rules to the point where I met the actual industry people, and then they taught me, and I learned from them by working with them and just watching really how this all works, how to make money in it. And at that point, when you have the real connections with industry people, you learn how to make money, you're making money, you're collaborating with other people, and you're sharing your work online, and continuously using social media to put out work, find interesting people to work with, actually working with them. Then we actually have, I think, the momentum that we all kind of envy when we see on social media. I think that things like subscriber count, likes, shares, stuff like that actually doesn't matter so much. The stuff that is really exciting to me and that I appreciate when I see other people doing creative things on social media is, are they actually meeting up with people, doing real world projects, and sharing that online. The collaboration with online creators is really cool. You go do a project together, and then you both kind of share that you did it together. And superficially, we see that a lot with YouTubers and sometimes with Instagrammers. But hey, the film industry is an extremely collaborative industry. Very few people just make movies by themselves, if really anyone. So using social media to meet new people, actually do work, and then share that together, when you really get all of this moving together at once, you can tell it looks really great. You see people on social media that are killing it. It's not that they're like Instagrammers or they're YouTubers or they just love social media. They're doing actual networking and actual work, and the social media is just a tool to do that. And I consider myself that as well. When I was a cinematographer, I had a blog and I kept that really up, but I wasn't a blogger. I was a cinematographer using content to reach new people. And now I think a lot of people think of me as a YouTuber, and sometimes now as an Instagrammer, but since starting Cinematography Database, I consider myself a software developer, of all things. I feel like not everyone considers me that, but I use social media to make content about my software and to meet companies that I want to work with and find potential users. And that's the reason I use social media. It's the reason I'm on YouTube. It's the reason I'm on Instagram. And I hope that this long ranty video, if just like one little piece of it has clicked with you, if there's something about it that's going to help you use social media if you want to, I feel like it's a really good thing to do. I hope that it has. I hope that something in this is useful. And come check me out on YouTube. I'm Cinematography DB. Instagram, also Cinematography DB. And feel free to DM me or tweet me. Email's not going to work out so well. Any questions you have about this, and don't forget to sign up for a Kit Split account. Thanks so much for watching this video.